I stood in the darkened corner of the ballroom, watching the couple sway across the dance floor. Their eyes were locked on one another. The woman's breasts rose and fell as her partner pulled her even closer than one thought possible. Her pivot body molded itself against his large frame. They were elegance in motion. He moved with the grace of an athlete, and she followed his lead well. All eyes were upon them. There was an emotional bond between them, perhaps not love, but the connection was stronger than friendship. Her honey blonde hair moved with the gentleness of the tide, swaying as she kept her body plastered against his. Not that she had much choice, as tightly as the handsome man was holding her. I would have been envious of their connection if the woman hadn't been my wife of 11 years, in the arms of her boss. Instead, I felt anger and humiliation. This wasn't our first time at her company's annual awards and appreciation banquet. We had logged 8 others over the years, and everyone with any tenure in the company knew she was my wife. I could see people searching for me, as we all watched the spectacle being played out in front of us. They were all waiting for the explosion. After 3 dances, they walked off the floor together, joining other colleagues at a round table in the middle of the room. I watched as she gazed at him with those bedroom eyes that were once just mine. Not that I had seen them recently, but that didn't diminish the disgust that swelled inside of me. The only thing that came to mind was, it won't be long now. This kettle would need to boil over soon. I just needed to hold on a little bit longer. I was struggling with reconciling my fear, hate, and resentment of this scene before me with the love, respect, and trust one once held for my beautiful wife. It's a battle I was losing, try as I might to overcome these feelings, but now I was falling into despair and self-pity. I hung my head in defeat. I'd worked so hard over the past months to try and win her back, to repair the damage in our marriage. I had scheduled date nights, picked up household chores, turned the television off, and tried to start conversations only to have her walk away. I left flowers, notes, and cards with loving sentiments, just to find them in the garbage. I sent flowers to her work, and never even heard if she got them or not. What else can I do now but wait, I thought to myself. I shook the thoughts from my head, as I made my way back to the temporary bar in the corner of the room and stood behind Marianne, one of Kelsey's longtime work friends. Having any fun? I asked, trying to keep up a nonchalant appearance. I always enjoy these yearly parties. Harold loves the free booze, she answered. I smiled with a nod, raising my empty glass. Me too. Hey, I haven't seen Jason's wife tonight. Did she make it? I hoped my eagerness wasn't showing. She always dresses so elegantly, and is a joy to chat with. Oh, didn't Kelsey mention Jason served her with divorce papers today? I guess she had been neglecting her wifely duties. I'd caught Marianne at just the right stage of drunkenness, to not give much thought about the words coming out of her mouth. I wasn't disappointed with the results. No, I guess not, being a Friday night and all. We came here right after I got home from work, and we haven't had a chance to gossip. I covered my bases, but it was direct lie. We had taken the afternoon off to go home and prepare for the evening. She had plenty of time to mention it, but chose not to. I refilled my Captain and Diet, retrieved a glass of white wine for Kelsey, and headed over to the table where she and Jason were standing. Neither saw me approach, they were too engrossed in each other. "Kels, I got you a glass of wine." I extended the glass toward her. She jumped a little as I spoke. "Oh, you startled me," she squeaked, and accepted the glass. "Thank you, Honorable." The others became more uncomfortable the longer we all stood there. Most found something remarkably interesting in the stained tablecloth, or crossed the room and wouldn't look directly at me. Others stared, probably wondering what I was thinking and how blind could I be. A younger man, about 25, even smirked as he watched me observe the table. He and I locked eyes. He held out for a couple of seconds, then his smirk disappeared, and he too found the tablecloth to be interesting. We were coming up onto 1 a.m., and many of the guests had already filed out of the hotel's ballroom, headed for home. But I could tell Kelsey wasn't ready to break from her dance partner. "We should probably head home, honey. I still have to run the babysitter home, and we promised her we wouldn't be past 2 tonight," I mentioned, aware that I was interrupting her time with Jason. "Yeah, okay. Guess we have to go. I'll see you Monday." She smiled. There was visible relief from all around us, that the awkwardness was almost at an end. "Jason, good to see you." I reached my hand out and we shook. He was a powerful man, and he did his best to demonstrate it with his tightening grip. He had 3 inches on my 6 feet, but I outweighed him by about 15 pounds, me with a small pouch to my gut. I applied a little more pressure than normal, looking straight into his eyes and seeing deception and smugness reflected there. He finally dropped the shake and bid us good night. I waved at the others as we made our way from the room towards the car. We didn't speak on the ride home, though she had a smile that made her look radiant. Once we were home, Kelsey went to check on Caitlin, our 9-year-old daughter, as I paid Brittany and prepared to take her home. Upon my return, I went to the bedroom to find Kelsey already in bed and asleep. I checked on Caitlin, used the bathroom, and went to sleep in spare room. I knew there was no chance of sex tonight. I could hardly remember that last time we were together. My eyes closed with the last view being of the ceiling as I fell into a fitful sleep running through my internal checklist for tomorrow. I was up early Saturday morning. Caitlin was already in the family room watching her shows, and I gave her a little wave as I stopped in the doorway. "Have you had breakfast yet?" "Yep," she stated as she waved her milk-drenched spoon in the air, sloshing milk drops onto the carpet. "Okay, be quiet, Mom's still asleep and I have work to do in my office, okay?" "Okay, Dad," she said a little too loud and I chuckled. Well, that didn't work. About 8:30, I called my lawyer's cell, knowing he worked from home on Saturday mornings. "Morning, Bill. Matthew Franks here." "Good morning, Matt. Yes, this isn't a joyous call," he responded, already knowing the answer. "That's correct. Time to put the plan in motion. Found out that Jason served his wife yesterday. Do we know if Kels has seen a lawyer yet?" "I don't think so, but I'll give the sleaze a call and make sure." He continued, "I'll meet you in half hour at the coffee house, have you sign and date. The forms along with my assistant to notarize will file first thing Monday morning, and have her served at lunch." "Sounds good to me. See you shortly." I arrived early at the coffee shop. Smiling weakly at the cutie behind the counter, I picked up my order and found a comfortable chair next to the fireplace. My mind drifted. I never thought I would be divorcing the one true love of my life. It's hard to pick the exact moment when you realize your comfortable life was coming to an end, but I can come pretty close. It was a traffic ticket, one of those automatic red light camera deals. When you run a red light and they take a picture of the driver, the car's license plate along with the date and timestamp. That was it. I found the ticket when I got the mail. I laughed and knew it was Kelsey's right off. She always pushed those lights when she was in a hurry. I opened it, figuring I would just pay it and not say a word. Nothing good could come from confronting her with it. There captured in the picture of the driver was Kelsey, and to the right of her was the shoulder and arm of an obvious man. It didn't show his face, but I knew who it was. No big deal. She could have been at lunch or going to a meeting. Could have been anything. I checked the date and timestamp. March 5th at 14:39. Something about that date didn't sit well with me. It hadn't been that long ago. I started looking back through my phone. I found our text messages from the 5th. Kelsey at 11:19, dropping by Mary's after work to pick up clothes for Kate. I remember thinking this wasn't anything unusual. Mary's daughter was a couple of years older, and we got cute hand-me-downs from them, though I thought Mary usually brought them to work. But still my radar didn't ping. Matt at 123. No worries. Want me to make dinner? Kelsey at 12:10. Yep. Matt at 12:11. What time should we expect you? Kelsey at 12:12. 6-ish. We might chat for a minute. Matt at 12:42. Okay. Have fun. Kelsey at 210. Thanks. We will. That loser. I thought as I checked the intersection on Google Maps, it was on the opposite end of town from where Marion lived. But still, it could be innocent, right? But then I started to put the pieces together. Since late November, Kelsey had been standoffish. I noticed all through the holidays how we fought over the little things. By January, she didn't like to hold my hand while shopping or walking. Our general conversation topics became limited to work or Caitlin. We didn't talk about our dreams anymore. We didn't talk about family vacations or our future. I have had a trust fund since I was little. My great-grandfather purchased a lot of undeveloped land in the Pacific Northwest. He logged much of it off and made a killing. Then as the local city grew, he sold parcels of land back to the city. When he died, I benefited from those purchases with a few $100K going to this trust. It grew again when my grandfather died, again letting the trust grow. I never needed to get into it since my family was self-supported. The balance stabilized and even grew a little since it was set up in a way to accrue interest. After my father passed, and with my mother already deceased, I inherited his whole estate. I simply rolled his trust into mine. With the accumulated wealth, the three of us were close to being set for life. But Kelsey and I continued to work and grow our capital in preparation for our retirement. I was encouraged to and obtained a prenuptial to protect the fund when Kelsey and I got married. Every few years we updated the prenup in our wills. One item that always remained the same was the standard "what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours" divorce clause. We did add a clause in for Caitlin to receive an education in the event of my death, or if we divorced. Of course, there were provisions concerning the mechanism and circumstances surrounding my death. Obviously, Kelsey would not see anything if she had a hand in my demise. Because of this, I had access to a family lawyer and accounting services for years. I contacted my lawyer and got the name of the best local divorce attorney. I set up a meeting with him by the end of the week to see my options. Since we had a solid prenup, he wasn't worried about any financial issues. I explained that I wasn't ready to take any drastic actions at this point. Just wanted to know what steps to take next. Well, Matt, we could have a PI look into what's going on and see if there is anything to worry about. Unfortunately, all my investigators are busy right now. It would be several weeks before they could invest any time in your case. Bill Manson explained. I really don't want to wait. I'm already losing sleep over this. Are there any other options? I asked. Well, there is one. He's trying to get things started, but few really trust him. We call him Larry the Sleaze. Bill went to explain he's an ex-cop who was retired due to a history of complaints and some questionable activity. He could get started right away, but I don't know if I would recommend a lasting relationship with him. Why do you call him the Sleaze? I asked, laughing. I want things legal, so if we do find something, we'll be on solid ground if we have to move forward. Totally, he's legal. He has a habit of getting information, such as detailed pictures and videos along with emails and phone conversations that, let's just say, walk a fine line of being allowed in court. But I'm told what he finds is solid proof of infidelity one way or the other. As long as he's legal, we could always pay him off and switch to a more reputable PI in a couple of weeks. I paused. Do you think he can start today? I'll give him a call and find out. I'll be your go-between here at the office. I'll let you know later today. Sounds good. Thank you. I filled out a bunch of documents for both the lawyer and the Sleaze, connected him with my accountant, and left a retainer for my personal account. Kelsey didn't have access to it, so she wouldn't know what I was up to. I didn't want to startle her, especially if I was wrong and it's just a rough patch in our marriage. While this was going on, I had decided to try to repair my relationship with my wife. My life experiences have told me that people don't just change and do uncharacteristic things unless there is a catalyst. Since I didn't know what that was for my wife, and I didn't know if we were past the point of no return, I decided to make sure I was taking care of business as a husband. I picked up my game and did my best to make sure she felt loved and valued as an equal partner in our relationship. I doted on her and made it my goal to be the husband that all her friends were jealous of. I was refuted at every turn, and it became obvious that we had already passed the point of no return. One Thursday afternoon, I was invited back to my Bill's office to receive what the Sleaze had found. I was shown hours of footage of them dating and playing the happy couple. There were photos, phone call recordings, and both of their personal email messages. I was both impressed and disgusted with the Sleaze, but agreed that his nickname was well earned. I sat there devastated. Never would I think that she would have had an affair with Jason Stanton. I guess I could see how she would be attracted to Jason. He was tall, handsome, and well-built. He was cultured and on an upward trajectory in both his work and personal life. He had taken over Kelsey's department about a year ago. As his personal assistant, Kelsey would work closely with Jason. It offered him an endless amount of time to get to know and work his way into Kelsey's life. Jason was a college baseball star, and the only thing that prevented him from going to the majors was a shoulder injury in his senior year. I mean, who wouldn't be impressed with this guy? I just never thought Kelsey would allow him in between us. This was all too overwhelming. I couldn't breathe, my chest tightened, my vision blurred, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I scooted my chair back and placed my head between my knees and tried to concentrate on my breathing. In and out till my head cleared. The feeling of loss and emptiness can't be described. I had just lost my best friend, my confidant, my lover, and the mother to my child. At that moment, I couldn't see a way out of this, and then the sleaze piled on more. He played a recording from the day before and was why he wanted to get us all together. Kelsey, really? You love me? I could hear the excitement in her voice. Jason, yes, my darling, you are the most perfect woman. I love you and I want us to be a family. Kelsey, you mean you, me, and Caitlin? Jason, of course. Kelsey, what about Matt and Shannon? Jason will divorce them, you'll get Caitlin, and we'll live as a happy family. There was a gap in the conversation. I assumed that Kelsey was digesting the bomb her lover just dropped on her. You do love me, don't you, Kelsey? Kelsey, yes, of course I do. I never gave much thought to leaving Matt is all. Jason, well, give it some thought. He could never give you what I can. You will be the belle of every ball. Be part of high society. Go places and see things that loser could never afford. I could hear the contempt in his voice and imagine the expressions his face made as he spoke. Kelsey, it would kill him to lose Kate. We are his world. Jason, I'll be 10 times the father than that loser ever could be. In a year she won't even want to go and see him. Kelsey, why do you hate him so much? What has he done to you? Her voice had a tint of concern in it. To be honest, I wanted to know as well. Jason, he doesn't deserve you, Kels. That loser has no ambition and no drive to be anything more than what he is today. A drone making someone else rich. Kelsey, you do know he is a plant manager, right? He has 400 people in his plant and they have the highest production rates and the largest revenue per square foot of any of the plants. I was a little proud that Kelsey knew that, even though I would have preferred this conversation to happen in their lunchroom and not in a hotel room. Jason, he's a weak beta that had no drive or ambition in school, and he hasn't even earned his MBA. He served his purpose, hon. I can beat him into the dirt any day of the week. Kelsey, Jason, don't ever think you were that much better than Matt. He's not a loser. You don't know about his younger days. He ran with some bad guys and is very good with guns. He almost went down a back path himself until he decided to go to school. That's why he didn't go to college for a few years after high school. It sounded like she was bragging now. Kelsey, he's stronger and tougher than you give him credit for. Please promise me you won't get physical with him. I wouldn't want either of you hurt him for Kate's sake and you for mine. But I'm not in love with him anymore. I wish I were, but you have replaced him as my man, my love. She paused as if she was thinking, how would this work and when? Jason, will divorce them at the same time. I've got a few things to get in order before I serve Shannon, but with her psychiatric issues and the fact we haven't had sex in a year, it won't be an issue to get it done. I'll split everything 50-50 deep. She'll hardly contest. Kelsey, okay, but you have to file on Shannon before I'll even see a lawyer. She was defiant. I guess she wanted to hedge her bets and not lose her comfortable life at the moment. Even for her true love, her man Jason deal. Now come here, woman. Your man needs some fun time. I asked for the tape to be turned off at this point. I didn't need to care anymore. I looked over at Bill and said, how do I deal with this? You strike first, Matt. But what if she changes her mind? They rarely do, Mr. Franks. I'm afraid they are, to the point or nothing you do or say will cause them to stop or repent. I got my first good look at the sleaze. He was in his 30s, clean-cut, athletically built, and his suit fit him. Well, nothing like I had imagined. He was respectful and probably right. I thought I started to see him as Larry and not the sleaze. I got the feeling this guy was really on my side. Even if I was paying, he cared and was disgusted by what he had seen and heard from these two. And would you want her after what you know now? Larry added, you're probably right. Larry, turning to Bill, Bill, give me a day or two to decide and I'll call you. Okay. Sounds good, Matt. Can I start the framework of the docs and we can add the details later or trash the whole thing if you want? Yes, let's do that. Larry followed me out. He handed me his card that has my personal number on it, Mr. Franks. In case you ever need me on the side, please, Larry, call me Matt. Thank you, Matt. I know some people who could help you get revenge. If you decide to go that route, I mean, they call me Larry the Sleaze for a reason. He stated with a smile, laughing. I said, good to know, Larry. I'll let you know if I need that kind of help. Seriously though, thank you for the offer. I don't think I could do that to Kels, but I like knowing I have a friend. If I decide to go down that path, Larry smiled at me and waved as he headed for his car. I thought about my choices all weekend long. I could barely concentrate on anything else. And it appeared Kelsey never even noticed I was deciding the fate of our family. It did occur to me that she had already decided that for all of us. I wrestled with all the feelings of doubt, anger, fear, and frustration. The humiliation and loss of my perceived manhood are what hurt the most. My self-identity was my work and my family. Who would I be without my family? I thought. I worried about Caitlin and how she would transition into this next chapter. It irritated me to think about that arrogant bastard raising my daughter. I even had flashes of him walking my daughter down the aisle at her wedding. My emotions and thoughts were all over the place. No matter how much bruise I poured over them, I didn't receive any clarity until Sunday morning. Sitting on the back deck nursing a hell of a headache. It occurred to me this was probably going to happen no matter how much I fought it. I had already lost my wife. I could see the contempt in her eyes. I had already lost my family. What mattered now was on whose and what terms was I going to lose everything. Then an old saying hit me: lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Well, I wasn't going to get out of the way and I wasn't ready to follow those cheaters. So I had only one choice: lead. Monday morning I called Bill. Bill, Matt Frank's here. Good morning, Matt. Come any closer to a decision? Yes, I have. I would like you to complete all the documents required. Add only the legal pics that Larry obtained. Split everything 50-50. Teach us. I paused. Do you want to sell the house? Yes, we took a low-interest loan from my trust fund to buy it, so we have been paying ourselves all this time. We'll split any equity we get. But I'll recover the full loan amount and interest we have paid over the years. It's a win for me. I answered. Also, please add $200 for Kels out of my trust. Considerate payment for services rendered. She might be more amiable if she knows she isn't walking out of this completely broke. I want primary custody of Kate. I know that will be tough, but maybe Larry can find some dirt on our boy Jason that would make him look less like a suitable father to a young girl. I heard he was a first-class frat boy in college. Maybe he got a little fresh with some of his conquests. Sick Larry on him, please. Have a backup plan for Kate. If we get too much pushback on the primary custody thing, please write me up the most generous shared custody plan you have ever heard of. I stopped for a second to allow Bill to catch up with me. Also, I want to sue Jason for alienation of love and affection, and find out a way to get his wife Shannon involved in the mess. I want her to be aware of what's going on in a complete legal above-board kind of way. And speaking of her, please create another divorce set up for adultery and have it ready for her. I'll pay her fees. I think she should get what's coming to her and make it ugly. We can have them both served in the alienation suite, but you have to know it won't go anywhere. I'll also need to get her to sign a contract with me. I can get the form started, but without her consent or information, there isn't much else I can do. Bill explained. I understand. I just want to shake the tree some. And since you're at it, I want to sue Kelsey's company for allowing her to sleep with her boss. I'm pretty sure that they don't have a morality clause in their handbook, but it has to be shady for any company to allow this to happen under their watch. He is her direct supervisor. I know it probably won't go anywhere, but again, let's shake that tree and see what falls out. Okay, Matt, this is going to get expensive and then go up from there. You are talking a lot of man-hours, and if it is contested, even more. I understand it's only money, and at this point, I will empty my trust if I need to make sure those two do not profit more than what they are due. And as my daddy used to say, anytime you get a lawyer involved, you're just negotiating how much it's going to cost. I've got it, so I might as well use it. Bill was laughing at my snide comment about lawyers as he spoke. Willie sounds like he was a smart man. You know you don't have to give her any money from your trust. Your prenup is airtight. I know, Bill, but I have thought about this all weekend and figured if I don't leave her destitute, she might be more willing to go along with my demands, and she kind of deserves it. She has worked hard and helped me protect it from unnecessary draws. Both of us were counting on it as our old age nest egg. I was thinking it might give her an edge over Jason, so when she finds herself out on her own, she doesn't have to be as reliant on him. She deserves more. But there is no way in hell I'm going to give that cheating bastard Jason anything more of my life than he has already taken. I mean, my wife should be enough. I was feeling the rage as I spoke, just thinking about Jason taking over the life that was supposed to be mine. I always considered myself to be fair in my dealings, and I wanted to make sure I treated Kelsey fairly, even though she hasn't returned the favor. My solace was that I was sure Caitlin would approve of my actions later when she understood how our family fell apart. One last thing, Bill, don't file yet. I want to have everything done. I's dotted and the T's crossed and ready to roll. I want to wait for her to make the first move. This will give me more time with Kate in our family home. I'm aware there will be a time when I need to pull the trigger, but I want it to be at the last moment when I can't hang with it anymore. Got it?